All right, hello again everybody, this is Jason with SlackTech, and in this video we're going to talk specifically about primitive slacklines. And what I have here in front of me is a primitive slackline using some type 18 webbing. This is a slackline specific webbing. And what we're going to touch on is, again, we're going to touch on the static side anchor, bringing the webbing across, building the tensioning system and the tension side anchor, then tensioning. And then at the end of it, we're going to talk about backups and Tree Pro too, because it's always applicable in any slackline. So to start off, building the static side anchor, we can simply use a piece of 1-inch webbing, doubled up, and then tied off and used in a U-basket configuration. So that's essentially creating a continuous sling and then wrapping that around the tree to create our static side anchor. We could then clip our carabiner to that and then build what we call a ring lock or a line lock. And that is essentially an anchor point for the webbing. Once we've created that anchor point, we can go ahead and back the webbing up. And what I mean by backing the webbing up is actually taking a loose tail of webbing that's coming out from the end of the slackline and tying that around the tree. What that does is it effectively prevents the additional shock loading or extension, or when it comes down to it, flying gear if that side of the anchor were to fail. All right? So it's always important to back up both the tension and static side. So once we have that built, we can then walk the webbing across, trying to maintain flat, and then get to our tension side anchor. From there, we got to start building our tensioning system. And we refer to this as the Ellington. And essentially what it is it's using the same continuous piece of webbing, but you're creating that same line lock that you created on the static side anchor. You're creating that about 1/5 of the way into your slackline. We do that because the whole tensioning system is actually going to compact and then be not removed, but reduced within the system. All right, but because webbing can be fairly stretchy, we want to make sure that it's long enough. So to start building the tensioning system, again, we start off with creating a line lock, like we did on the static side. And then going back to our static side or our tension side anchor. We do the same thing over there as we did on the static side, where we sling it with a piece of 1-inch webbing in a U-basket configuration, and then just simply put a carabiner on there. And then what we're going to do is run the webbing back and forth between the two sets of carabiners to create the Ellington system. And this is what we're going to use to tension the entire slackline. Once we've created this and we're confident that we have the distances set and we have everything, double check, triple check, making sure that if we're using locking carabiners, everything's locked, and then go ahead and start pulling on the tension. All right. Once we've brought everything to tension, we want to go ahead and tie off again the tail end of the webbing on the tension side anchor, just in case there was a gear failure, and we're hopefully prevent any gear from going flying. Okay. Since we've got this built, I want to go back and really touch quickly on the importance of tree protection in these basic slackline systems, because this is probably what you're going to be bringing out into the park setting, because they're simple to set up, really fun to learn on, and they deploy really quickly. But we want to make sure that we maintain proper practices and protect the trees by simply wrapping around some carpet or some rubber or an old yoga mat to protect against abrasion and movement within the tree. All right, so we'll touch a little bit more on tree padding and different forms of that, but I just want to emphasize the importance of that in a basic slackline system. Okay, so I know I spoke really quickly, but we covered a lot just in regards to the basics, the basic Ellington or primitive system. Okay, so next we're going to talk about ratchet systems, basic ratchet systems.